How y'all doing? I'm Bush Denny, and I drive fast cars. Welcome to Wise Guys Garage. Welcome to Wise Guys Garage. We're going to do a little segment on Mustang 2s. We're going to talk about a 76 and a 1977 Ford Mustang Cobra 2. Worst Mustangs ever built according to the critics and all the Chevy guys. My favorite, my bucket list, my unicorn. I've achieved the opportunity and the privilege of owning this one. It's a 76 Cobra 2. Out of originality. It's date coded to how it would have been back when I was in high school. And it's just like Jimmy Bagby's, who's also in Wise Guys. He drove a 77 in high school, just like this same color. And that's where my Mustang passion began. So you can all blame Jimmy Bagby for my Mustang love, because this car was what set me back the rest of my life. I've been hunting this car for over 10 years. Frank Lacona found it for me. You know, everybody knows Frank from Wise Guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna document the one that I found with Billy Maddox and Sean Collier, and it's a 1977 Cobra 2. So what I'm gonna do is walk you around the shop, because through the COVID months, we put a lot of cars together, did a lot of things, and I'm gonna shut this up real quick. So instead of doing a 4-minute segment, we're gonna build a couple of video quadrants, and we're gonna document this whole 77 build. The intent's to build a second duplicate of this car for the wife. It'll be a his and hers. Mine's the 76, hers 77. Mine will be the natural 4-speed, and Tammy's 411, so she's got to have the automatic so she can reach the pedals. So come on with me and I'll show you what's going on, but don't mind the mess. Like I said, we're converting the shops over from major builds and 3 Mecum builds and Frank's 55 and Jimmy's everything and 66 it just sold. Mine's 64 and a half, of course, many other mods in between. So the shops are a mess, and I've asked the Wise Guys to stay away for about 3 weeks and let me shift everything, get the tooling back together, and here we go. We're going to start with the first shop, the big shop, and I'll show you the 77. So come on down. And there's my other pony. Before I get started here, I'm going to give a special shout out to Casey Wolcott. Works with me. He's going to introduce Frank and I to new technology, new video opportunity, and we're going to start putting some better video segments out on YouTube. We're going to go to the YouTube, Wise Guys, and we're going to keep the Facebook alive too, but Facebook only allows us to dump so much. So when we start documenting the big builds, we're going to start using the GoPros. We're going to set up multi-cameras. Casey will be masterfully editing this stuff, and we're going to try to get a better quality of video, because a lot of people are asking us questions. A lot of people want to see certain systems installed, repaired. I'm going to get with Sean Collier and Billy Maddox, the Mustang 2 guys. We're going to interview some of those guys, show you some of their 2s. A lot of projects up there. We've got a very, very rare 77 convertible with a 302. There's only about 5 of those cars registered left out of the 44 build. We'll show you that opportunity. The #1 king in the nation, Sean Collier's got a slew of Mustang 2s. So we'll get into some of that and add that in and out of some of these videos. So walk with us and let's talk about the shop. So right here is where the 57 Nomad was built, the 70 Nova. Those were Mecum builds for Curtis. That is the 396 that dropped the valve that Dennis Oshley helped us install a new 454. I will have Casey shine the wall where that Nomad, not the Nova, but the Nomad went across the block. Another Frank Lacona refinish and paint correction. We've done a lot of work here. So now we're down to the 77. So what I'm going to do is talk about the 77 build for a second and tell you what our plans are. So the 66 lived here, and the 66 Jimmy Bagby's was built here from the ground up. That car just left the Wise Guys shop and collection. So we are now modding this shop for a 77 build. So what we have here is a duplicate All numbers match, all original, every single part we've captured on this car, except 3 items that are broken. And unfortunately, those 3 items are the high collector items. But I'm not going back MCA national quality with this. I'm gonna go with the 5-lug, I'm gonna go with the 4-barrel, I'm going with headers. We're gonna date code it like my 76, and we're gonna drive the piss out of this car and leave a lot of road art all over the damn county. So right now that's in the state we bought it, I've had it in storage for about 3 years. I've spent about $500 to get to this point. Car is almost rust-free. It looks a lot rougher than it is. We've had it in storage. The guy before me had it apart, was gonna paint it. Decided that it was too much work, and again, was another Mustang 2 guy that couldn't find parts. So we acquired it for about $500, and I'll let Billy tell you all the story one day on how silly it was. But I almost took an ass whipping buying this car because I made the seller extremely mad. So good story about that. We'll get into that later, and I'll have me and Billy sit down in front of the camera and tell you all a funny story about it. So as we walk around the car, it's again, it's been it started a paint process that they never finished. Left it under a tree for 10 years. I'm very fortunate that I didn't have rust. One of the hard parts to find is wiring harness. Cannot find these. This one's in incredible shape, and Billy Maddox has opportunities to make sure that this has a complete wiring setup. So setting up my shop with all the parts, I've already cleaned, high-end soap and water. Everybody knows I'm a Purple Power fan. As we clean, I'm gonna store. I'm gonna have Casey walk around. As bad as these look, when we go to complete this build, I will show you a before and after on door panels and stuff like that. We're gonna completely redo all of this interior. I will have AAA do some interior upholstery work for me. I'm gonna show you the louvers down here. This is an aftermarket set of louvers. Billy Maddox has got me hooked up with probably one of the last known set of Ford factory louvers that's already attached to the deck lid. So we're gonna do a little swap. So Casey, let me show you these plug wires. If I need any light, we'll step over here. I wanna explain this too. So what we got here is a battery cover handle that cannot be found or replaced. It came broken, so I cried. Part of the $500 sell we'll talk about later. But we captured the original plug wires that's dated 1977 on them. These are actual factual original Mustang 2 plug wires with the 1977 date stamps on them. These are going to Billy. I'm gonna certainly hand these off to my best Mustang 2 friend, because Billy builds concourse quality Mustang Club of America national cars. He's probably gonna put these plug wires on the 77 convertible I told you about, because it's that rare and it's going back just like it come off the Ford floor. So these are parts as we're going through. I've got a brand new, this is not an AC car factory. Sean Collier hooked me up. He stripped his original 77 and he has hooked me up with a factory AC unit that we're actually gonna put in this car. That's gonna be a challenge. There's a vacuum plenum under the dash that's a booger to mess with, but I've captured the actual AC compressor original. Not sure if I'm gonna use this because I'm not going back MCA quality. I might go with a new modern compressor. They're just more efficient, but we've got the original manifolds. Of course, I won't open this now, but I'll show you later, but I've captured another wiring harness from Sean Collier. We've got a small Mustang 2 group local. Between the group of us, including some of the kids that are involved that are now purchasing the Mustang 2s like their dads, we're the biggest Mustang 2 club in the nation. Nobody has the amount of parts and resources and cars that we have that are actually on the road driving. So we will also, I'll have Casey do a Mustang 2 segment with me on that. We will go over and visit Sean and Billy, and I will show you some pretty good inventory, and I'll show you some pretty nice Mustang 2s. So what we're going to do is we're going to document this build in sections. We might tease the public and drop some 10-15 minute where we're at, and just as the year goes, just throw them out on the Wise Guys page as updated videos instead of waiting to the end, maybe 18 months from now, and dropping an hour or 2 hour video. So we'll try to make this fun. Would like Frank to set up an email or some way. I guess you can get in touch with him on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. For any questions or technical questions, or we're open for opinions on the build. If you think something might look good, throw us some suggestions. We're always wide open. Any paint correction or that type of information, you'll have to go to Frank because he is the master detailer. This car will be painted. The stripes will be painted on. We're not putting vinyl back on it. I'm taking it out of originality because I want that clear coat on there and I want it to be extremely nice. So let's walk over to the disaster in the other shop, and I'm embarrassed because these shops have never been this bad, but we went through a 1.5 years of major work. And now we're setting it all up for a whole new series of builds and new work. So also got a 1957 GT500 Fairlane sitting out here. Gonna do a little brake job on an original firewall and brake system on that. Car currently has no brakes. We're gonna do probably a body off on Frank's 55. Probably document that next door, do a big brake kit on that. And no telling what Jimmy's fixing to bring in here because like I said, he sold the 66. So walk with me over here and let me show you how the other shop looks, because a week or two from now, I'll have Casey come back and we'll video where we go after we clean up and rearrange, because right now it's a mess. So follow me on out and we'll head on over. Bush it wise guys, again, we're gonna go into the second shop and show you a mess. So, takes the lights a minute to kick on. The showroom is a disaster. Got the Fox body, got the National KR in here, even got a mattress over there waiting to go to the dump. It's a mess right now. Like I said, we've been moving and shuffling inventory. Gonna get all this cleaned up. This room's last because we're not showing any cars right now. And the Mustang KR is completely out of the national run for a while. So let's walk back in the back, and please don't hold me responsible for the mess we're walking into. So, let me turn. And again, what we got in here is the Monster Vega. This is Frank's latest and greatest toy. This is the shop where a lot of stuff happens. We originally built this shop for paint correction for the KR and the national stuff. Frank and Jimmy started getting more involved. Next thing you know, we're building the hell out of some fast cars. And then we're buying cars, and then we're selling cars, and then we're getting into Meekums, and we're doing all kinds of stuff. Got a wall full of nice awards and pictures. Not so much into that. It's just we like to keep up with what we've been doing, because here lately it's just been so much. So as Casey walks back here, I'll explain the mess. If you'll pan over here, this is the remains of a 1964.5 D code, which we currently still have, and we're going to keep those cars, but we're also going to keep these parts because they're date coded and original, and what's left from the 66 Super Mod that Jimmy just built and sold. So we're going to get all this boxed up, labeled, and I'm going to put it back out in my storage building because we don't get rid of anything. This is scrap metal. This is big brake kit for Frank. We had a big shelf over here. It's now gone. It went next door for the 77 build, so got some stuff here. We're gonna have to find a new storage home. Got our detail station going back up front. Got to get all this clean. The current plan is over here by the Mustang parts. We're gonna install a washer and dryer and a bathroom because we're out here more than we're not now, and we've got so many detail rags that it's just cheaper for me to install the plumbing and get the washer and dryer going and get us a bathroom out here. Got a second dual fridge coming. It's going to go in the other shop because, again, we spend a lot of time. So working on a 2-post lift for the other shop because we want to be able to do our suspension work. The 4-post is incredibly nice. It does a lot of things, but every once in a while that 2-post lift, it just has to be part of that toolbox. So walk out here with me, Casey. Let me show these people what it takes to build a Mustang 2. All right, so my best Mustang 2 friends, Sean Collier and Billy Maddox, has the privilege and luxuries of scrapped old Mustang 2s. Now this is a 77 Cobra 2. It's completely rusted out, but between the drivetrain, some of the interior parts, rear end. We're gonna take everything that's left on this car that can be used. Front grille, believe it or not, these bumper covers can be salvaged. But this car is incredibly rusted out. Can't save it. But this is all original. We got an air conditioner box that is completely flawless. Now, this is one of those 3 parts I was talking about. This is going back to Billy Maddox, completely saving. We're going to save it because it's saving. This shroud is very expensive. You can't find them. This can be cleaned up and made to look new, and it's a 77 dated. All this car's original. It's AC. This one, we're going to pull the dash out. We're going to get all that AC work out. Hard to find this stuff, hard to find the pulley wheels, hard to find the brackets, but we salvage as much as we can. So we find cars like this, we offer $300-400 to get them out of their way, and then we go in and we completely cannibalize. And I hate it because we're taking a 77 completely out of any opportunity, but somebody else made that happen when they let it sit out and rust forever. But still a lot of good parts. Front grille section, rear bumper section. If the motor mounts are good, they're very hard to find. They have a rebuild kit now for the 302 motor mount kits. But we're going to cannibalize this car in the next couple weeks, and I'll probably do a little 5-minute video segment on that because we're pulling everything out. It's going to be silly fun loading it up on the flatbed trailer, because then I got to get it and take it painfully to the scrap yard and watch them crush the rest of it. So we buy a lot of these. If you know anybody that has them sitting in their backyards and they just have the thought that they're going to rebuild them one day, not going to happen because they don't have parts and they don't know Billy. So just tell them I'll give them $100 more than what the scrapyard will give them, or maybe $200 if there's not this much rust, and we'll start taking parts off of it. So this is what it looks like. It takes 4 or 5 of these. If you have a boatload of parts to put another one together, and I'll show you that as we walk around Billy's house and you see how many he's got. It takes a barn full of bad ones to put one good one together, because Ford acts like they never built the car, and you can't find hardly anything for it. Again, it is my unicorn. It's Billy's unicorn. It's Sean's unicorn. All the Mustang 2 guys love these cars. They'll go way out of their way, and they will spend crazy money to put these back on the road. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to cut it off here for now as we get into these builds and these cannibalizes and the shop orgs and all the fun with Jimmy. And now Casey, will introduce Casey here real soon. And Frank, we'll get over and meet the rest of the Mustang 2 guys. We'll keep this segment going, and I'll get with the other guys and we'll find out how we're going to lay this out, how we're going to edit it. But we're not just going to throw these on the 3-minute, 4-minute on Facebook. We're actually going to put some good production together. So this is Bush It Wise, guys. We're going to sign off for now, and we'll see you soon.